Brilliant. Thank you. Great pleasure to welcome you all to tonight's meeting of the Executive Town Council Planning Committee, our first in-person meeting for well, almost 2 years, it feels like. So, to welcome you all tonight. Item number 1 on the agenda is public participation. I know we have 2 members of the public that have registered that they want to speak. Actually, 3. Sorry, we've got. I believe it's 3. You raise your hands if you're speaking tonight. Is that only 2? Only 2 people can speak on per application. So we have 2 registered. Do we?
2 can speak for and 2 can speak
2 can speak
against.
for and 2 can speak against. So.
Can I ask one question before we start?
Not really, because we have started, sir. Let's confirm the names that we have listed.
Is Councillor Stratton here? Because he's
No.
supposed to be representing us.
Councillor, sorry, Mr. Waghorn and
Mr. Waghorn
Lawson
and Mr.
are
Lawson.
going to
Please
speak.
raise your hands. Perfect, thank you. And is Neil, are you speaking on Chapman? Yeah, perfect. So I'm asking you to speak in a minute. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. At 10 seconds to go, I'll raise my hand and then wind it up. That'd be great. Obviously, you can talk to us about it. We don't have any right to reply, but please do say your bit. So I think we will start. We'll across the room this way. So would you like to? Just to make you aware, this is being recorded for Zoom. Members of the public, you're not visible on Zoom. Just the councillors. Okay. Please go.
Well, the development of 9 Alden Road has had a high number of objections, and many people feel strongly about this. Give us away on Zoom. We are not just in these, there are a number of valid reasons for our objections. The Sussex Highway report received on Friday seems deeply flawed and inaccurate. It states that the road has 19 spare parking spaces. That is ridiculous. There are literally no parking spaces, forcing occupants parking surrounding the streets. EG3 and DP26 are clearly breached by the development. It significantly impacts occupants support the road. Not only is there clear loss of privacy in all gardens, but also multiple windows will face directly opposite the bedroom windows, resulting in home privacy intrusion. Removal of mature trees to be replaced by 9 metres of structure surely constitutes a major loss of outlet to these residents. It's an overbearing, oppressive development which is unneighbourly and totally out of keep. DP6 and EG3 require things to keep in proportion. Large, tightly packed, 3-storey detached homes surrounded by bungalows are clearly not in keeping. It would be more appropriate to follow the post-war design of single-storey bungalows. The developer states that no previous applications have been made. This is inaccurate and misleading. Several applications for much smaller single-storey developments have been refused in the past. The development is clearly designed to extract the maximum in terms of profit, while offering nothing in terms of the local community, environment, and surrounding neighbours. It is a clear example of piecemeal development adding nothing of value to the town. EG 5.6 states we need 1 to 2 bedroom dwellings. We have too many 4-bedroom houses. And the Mid Sussex plan says we need homes for older residents as well. EG3, DP 37 and 38 state that it's imperative that we maintain green corridors for wildlife. This is a green corridor and can be proved to connect the towns to the surrounding countryside. Destroying badger habitat alone would be a direct contravention of the Habitat Action Plan for Sussex. Net biodiversity loss will be irreplaceable. Drawing mature trees on this site are part of the historic orchard. Mid Sussex DP 37 states, in particular, ancient woodland and aged and regretted trees will be protected. The drainage report is inaccurate and flawed, with a complete lack of survey data. The sub-scheme proposed is unlikely to work. There is a real danger of flooding to property downstream of the site, particularly number 7 Mortar Road. Any reasonable person can see that this is a crass overdevelopment, and the rational decision would be to refuse to approve the proposal at a town and a district level.
Thank you. Thank you.
The objection basically to the proposal of 9 Alden Road, based on literally surveys that started out, and actually all of the other agencies they comment on. If you look at the traffic survey, we have 1 car moving along the road, but then of course it was February the 3rd and the 4th, major lockdown, and nobody was moving, etc. If they do that survey today, though, all of basically schools in the area go through Morton Road as it's a cut through, and also basically the cars cannot pass. You cannot cycle along that road and a car come the other way. You have to duck out on the bike to get out to let the car pass. The other thing, there are 35 basically drop curbs on that road, and therefore parking is vastly underestimated because neighbours are cooperating together in order to get a car parked off the road and then allowing a car to be parked on the road. The survey notices at the best it's -2. Reality, it's probably -15 to -18 when you take in 5 or 6 places that are outside the cadet hall. The yellow lines that are proposed basically to be put on the north side of Morton Road to allow access for vehicles to turn into 9 Morton Road are completely inadequate. Plus also you have parking on the other side, the south side of Morton Road, and any parking there will block any type of ambulance, fire truck, dustbin truck, or anything swinging into that, into the access point for the site. The last point I'd like to make is there is nowhere near enough light on any of the houses' gardens because of Leyland Dye basically between Paddock Gardens and in Morton Road and the high hedges, and the developer proposes to put more trees in, which will be cut down because literally there is no light around any of those gardens, around those new houses to be built.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And finally, so. No, please say your name and what application you're representing.
Okay, my name is Neil Zabet, and the application that I'm proposing is the.
You can just say the name of the road, it's fine.
1945, which is Chapman Lane and 52 Gardenwood Road.
Say your
I moved here 5 years ago. I own Chapman House, Chapman Lane, and with it came the road, Chapman's Road, sorry. Chapman's Lane, Chapman's Road, came Chapman's Lane. I've maintained that road for the last 5 years. I make sure the TPOs are in order. I make sure all the hedgerows are cut. One side of that lane is completely hedgerows and trees, or it was until April this year, when the owner of 52 Gardenwood Road cut down 36 metres of hedgerow and replaced it with a fence. There have been numerous complaints about that. You've got them, they're all registered, and my neighbours as well. The fence is 2.1 metres high, so in fact it's too high, which is why he's had to put in retrospective planning permission for it. And by his own admittance, Mr. Griffiths has put it there, has admitted that the old hedgerow, which he cut down 36 metres of it, the root line of that was 1 metre inside where he's put the fence line. The fence itself isn't in the right place because it should actually mirror the fence line, the old root line of the hedge, if you were to agree that it should be there at all. It's not in keeping with the lane. You've seen the comments that it's invoked, it's overbearing, it's overhyped, and it's in the wrong place. And finally, I'd just like to say, I field about 6-7 letters a year from residents on the other side of the road asking for permission to cut the trees down, cut the hedges down. I've always opposed it, it's my lane. Since this fence has gone in, another hedgerow on the other side of the road has been cut down. I've had an application to take a TPO tree down, which I've refused, and right at the other end of the lane, the TPO tree has been taken down. And when we spoke to the owners about it, they said, if he can take the hedge down, why can't I take the tree? I know that there's policies in place so we should protect the hedgerows. I would ask you to oppose this, reject this application, and actually make a recommendation that the hedgerow be put back, please, as it was before, protecting the wildlife and the birds that are there, come back, and I would strongly ask you just to reject this application.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for those speaking. Item number 2 on the agenda is apologies for absence.
You have a full committee, Chair.
Thank you. Item number 3 on the agenda tonight is a presentation from Brockworth Homes, replanning application DM21 1842, which was considered by the planning committee on the 2nd of June. This is for your information moving forward for any residents' concerns. So, Katie, you doing it?
Thank you. Please, Sarah, thank you for allowing us to present to you today. We appreciate all the advice your comments, the district council, proposals. That's the other thing that's going to present to you at that committee. We felt it appropriate to today present to you, answer questions that you have, and any additional concerns. First of all, I'd like to be helpful to hear from Tom from the phones, very briefly about the relationship with Victoria Hospital as they join that application.
Could I just ask you to speak really clearly, please? We've got an excellent microphone, but you are a little quiet.
Okay.
So if you could please just speak nice and loudly.
Yeah, so I'm Brookwood Home. Essentially, we are a sort of regional house builder based in the sort of south. We're very much big on quality of build rather than quantity. Basically provide what buyers want, so provide areas where we can actually park the car in. Most of our houses have like suites, utilities, rooms, etc. And in terms of obviously our relationship with the hospital, so this application has gone in as a joint application for and the hospital. And essentially, what that relationship is obviously subject to us getting planning permission on the site. Then obviously through that sort of land clear, essentially, money that the hospital get is going to be reinvested into the hospital for them to use to, provide facilities, different, medical equipment, etc. Because that's basically just a quick summary of what our relationship with the hospital are.
So the starting point for consideration of the application by the district council, of course, is that it's allocated, the site allocated, the state plan policy for 40 dwellings. It's also been defined as area boundary for town. It is within the district council's housing commitments. It contributes towards the housing requirement for the district, most recently being set out trajectory of housing set out in this site allocation examination. And so the reality is that if the district council don't pick this site, the additional units and that deficit will need to be made elsewhere on current land currently allocated for development. You've already seen the application and you discussed it. It's for 28 dwellings, which is on a slightly smaller site than that allocated, as it doesn't include garages to the rest of the site. But this level of development is considered appropriate in relation to the site's constraints and opportunities. Right at the submission of the application, the hospital held a public exhibition. They undertook pre-application discussions with Mid Sussex, and since Brookworth's involvement, they've also undertaken further pre-application discussions, both with Mid Sussex and their offices. The 2 board members were in attendance and the town council through the pre-application process. These meetings have generally been positive, acknowledging that the site is allocated, but also the acknowledgement that there are constraints at the site. Both applicants sought to undertake as much application negotiation as possible. The scheme will deliver 30% affordable housing, which is 9 units, and delivering across the site 2 1-bed flats, 5 2-bed flats, 2 2-bed houses, 12 3-bed houses, and 7 4-bed houses. It's the plan for small dwellings. Slightly access via Overford Way as a continuation of the existing road and provide continued access to rear buildings of the Victoria Hospital simply for servicing their IT suites. Should note there's no further access to the hospital, so it can't be moved. The shape of the site lends itself to providing 3 distinct character areas. The north being of lower density, generally larger plots with focusing on a central green space and contained oak tree. The central main streets with terraces and detached housing, and the south is generally of denser development, or closely related to capacity development in the area, but also focusing on the existing pond. That pond is currently very overgrown, and because of that, sort of very poor water quality and ecological merit. We intend to open this up and provide it for the enjoyment of each of the existing residents. Sites are very well connected to the public right of way network, and we intend to provide further connectivity to the south and to the north, and to the green space to the north, which has contributed further network of green spaces. We acknowledge the site is heavily wooded, and it was when the allocation was made. This does present a constraint and bring forward development of the site, and has been focused significant consideration during the pre-application design process. And through that process, it's resulted in protection of a greater number of trees. Many of the trees are of limited quality, and we do acknowledge that they must be. Most of the trees on the site contain forested great age, which does need to be removed to allow the movement of Japanese knotweed. The site generally of low conditional merit, however, it's full massive waste use and very low reptile population. Through the development of the site, biodiversity enhancements will be delivered year-round pond. Site in flood zone 1, low probability of flooding, and low probability of flooding from other sources as well, and that's confirmed by the recent LFA anticipation response. The site strategy will then assess water flows through the flood rates, accommodating climate change, and actually plan pumping water. How water flows related to back to sewer that goes to the road. Our purpose for the event is to transfer matters into a vast acknowledgement of the strength of local being on the matter. We are aware and happy from the outset that this will be a significant consideration for you and for local residents, and that there will be strong differences of opinion between technical experts and local residents. We've submitted our evidence in support of the application, and West Sussex asked for further information which we will provide accordingly. And you know, without this support, the application won't be allowed. You know, as I said, the sites in the highly sustainable location, so I wrote it through the merits of the proposal in that. I can say that there are a number of places in the town, very worrying of green spaces. Our assessment includes will be a maximum of 16 two-way trips in the PM and 11 two-way trips in the AM. In transport terms, this is not considered and doesn't trigger severe tests such as we know your request for a traffic survey to be undertaken outside of COVID restrictions, where the size of the site and the trips just referenced doesn't trigger the need for junction assessments and traffic modelling. That said, I do acknowledge the road safety audit undertook a parking survey during the half term. Currently, that is referencing my sensitivity, and we will look to undertake further survey. The development of 54 allocated parking spaces and 17 business spaces, as well as 17 garages, which is an important requirement, and that will ensure there's no overflow into the emergency streets or additionally, 40% of those dwellings receive charging points as well, 25 licenses gardens. So in summary, the site is allocated and does contribute towards the council's housing targets. This is not uniform development. The place before the council is 28 dwellings, significantly less than 40 that is allocated for. We believe that's the right number to get the space. Delivering an attractive environment, people to live in, and also a range of housing types, tenants and sizes. We do recognise that local residents are concerned with these matters, but the ones they believe directly impact their day-to-day lives. We're therefore not here to dismiss them, particularly those concerns around traffic, but to acknowledge them. Our high-rise consultants are confident that will not be provided additional traffic, which will have a massive impact on their dwellers. And we hope that West Sussex will agree. However, they're not obliged to do so, that ultimately their technical consideration of the evidence that determines whether or not it's acceptable in high-rise terms, and therefore planning permission is granted. However, as I've just noted, we do accept that parking on that on the road does create existing tensions. We assure you that the parking place of this scheme is more than sufficient to ensure that extra. We'd be very happy to take questions. Thank you again for allowing us to come along today.
Thank you very much, Katie. Thank you for coming along and presenting to us tonight. As you pointed out, we have already passed our comments to Mid Sussex on this, but it is a very emotive topic in the town, this particular application. So we'll allow a couple of quick questions if councillors do have any. Councillor Johnson.
Well, thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Kate, for the presentation. Indeed, you're very familiar now with the traffic issues with it, Mr. Grinstead. He presented to us on the Inverhorn Farm development, and you're involved with the Ashpats House development for additional houses as well. So DMH Dunlop is very familiar with the problems we have. I think the problem that residents have is with the cumulative effect that has arisen of Blackwell Farm Road over time, with the Hilda Dukes Way, the housing at the bottom of Blackwell Farm Road, which has gone through planning, and now with this one. And so I think they will be surprised to hear 11 journeys of 28 houses per morning, and I think it's 16 per afternoon. And I think there will be a disbelief that that's a reasonable conjecture for the number of journeys. And so I think that will be a major issue for us as councillors and representing the residents to focus on. And I know you draw the distinction between residents, I think you drew the distinction between experts in their field and local residents, making quite clear that local residents weren't expert, but of course they're the ones that drive up and down the road every day, picking up their children that are trying to access in and out. And so I think they do deserve, you know, a fair hearing, and I'm sure on behalf of the town council and district councillors, we will be wanting to make sure that their views are properly heard throughout the process. But thank you very much for the presentation. But it would also be really helpful if you could just clarify the hospital relation, because I think we thought that the hospital had no ownership. I think you might be saying it's contingent on planning permission, but just the word joint application was just a bit surprising to me. And so perhaps that could be clarified exactly what role the hospital had.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, I wasn't intending to dismiss local residents' concerns on highways. Indeed, they are. Acknowledge that what I say, what our technical consultants say, may not be what Sussex may say, I don't know, may not be what the local residents think. Absolutely. So it's about problems every day. But Sussex have asked us information, and they asked us to support data from our districts and in relation to the Volvo, to their landowner, they own land.
Yeah.
So they're not a developer, so contingent on planning is that they sell the land to developers, and of course it's a charity.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Yes, I think we were all under the impression that they had sold the land and their relationship had.
Can I just make a general point?
I'm sorry, sir. Members of the public.
No, it's just general.
Sorry, sir. Members
It's
of the
just the
public.
fact we're not taking any account of all of the van deliveries that
Sorry,
are
sir.
now going on.
Thank you. Members of the public now. So yes, that is a surprise to this council, I think we can say, and yeah, not a welcome surprise. Thank you very much. Any other quick questions that councillors want to put forward? Right. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. If you want to, you can now leave. So you haven't got to sit and watch the rest of it. Yeah, go and warm up. Yes, it is chilly. I had to do up the jacket. Item number 4 on the meeting is to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of April, the 5th of May, the delegated sitting on the 10th of May and the 2nd of June. I'd like to propose those for accuracy. Could I have a second? Any questions on those minutes at all? I'll show of hands in support of those minutes. Oh, so in just a minute, I'm going to we'll go through them all. Item number 5 is to receive members' declarations of interest. Please attend. Anyone can go the wall for that one. I'm going to start with that. There are a couple on the trees. EM21 1963, Councillor Whittaker is the applicant, so I think we should all probably make a comment on that one. Somebody out there really does find this meeting scary. And DM21 2188, the applicant is known to me. Councillor Bell.
Yes, I'm a member of the Mid Sussex District Council Planning Committees, and I reserve the right to change my opinion if further information is placed before those meetings.
Thank you. Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. As per the town mayor's last comment, I'm also the district council. Again, reserve the right to change my opinion. Secondly,
Okay.
Secondly, DM 21/2002. That's what it is. I'm able to. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Councillor.
DM 21/64, Popeyes Farm. I know a couple of persons who are in support of this planning application, and one of them I worked with at the hospital, so
Are they the applicants?
I was the only member of the public.
You have to worry about that.
That's
Any other? Okay. I'm going to give a brief chairman's announcements.
Sorry, just getting feedback from people on Zoom, they can't hear what you're saying.
Chairman, I was going to say, please, Eugene, you
shout.
all need to speak up, please. It's a very good microphone, but it does need to pick you up. So please, nice and clear.
Is it as far out as it can be? Can it be up here maybe?
The trouble is if I move, I mean, you can, well, you're further away from people there.
Closer to me. We'll see if that makes any difference. If that makes it worse,
I was actually wondering if you could put it on the floor there. If that might be better.
we can try.
It can only go as far as that lead.
bar. Let's put it there. Let's try. Okay. Very good for the chair. Okay. Item number 6, chairman's announcements. I'm going to very briefly, to the members of the public in the room and those on Zoom, explain the planning process. We are not the decision makers on the applications that you will be interested in tonight. We are an advisory council, tier 1 authority. Our comments will go to Mid Sussex, along with all the recommendations and comments that you guys have made as well. The decision we make today isn't the final decision. Okay. I am going to talk about the application that most of you have come for first. At the end of that, you are more than welcome to leave. If you're going to have any discussions between yourselves, please don't do it in the foyer, please do it outside just for security. And if you do want to speak to any councillors in particular, please wait in the meeting until afterwards. And again, if you could do that outside, that would be appreciated. 2 more planning related ones. The DPD site application examination has been continuing for the last couple of weeks. It's been quite interesting, and I'd say that our new county councillor has been working with Belfast Parish Council closely on this, and our own Councillor Whitaker has been involved, and the inspectorate got to walk around the other day to the site and definitely saw the cumulative traffic impact that East Grinstead is facing. So that was very interesting. I think we expected to see just how bad the traffic at Bellbridge is. So hopefully that will continue to strengthen our arguments against those houses and against the.
What time of day was it?
It was in the middle of the day, and it was very, very busy. It was very, very busy. They saw it at peak traffic, shall we say. So in this council, we've also put our objections forward. The biggest one of those being around the traffic and the infrastructure and that impact. So it's good to be inspected to see that. The other one is Evergreen Farm. That has got a planning date with West Sussex now for the 29th of June, and we had confirmation that 2 of the county councillors involved will be talking. One of them is actually on the committee for that. So hopefully again that huge impact that could have on the town has come up with well listened to. Some positive news on both of them. What to do. So we move on to item 7, which is protective tree applications. We normally take these on block to refer to the tree officer, unless anybody has any particular comments that they wish to add to any of those applications, the ones that we can. Has any councillor got any? Councillor Ward?
I think one in Fulmer Drive, I think 5 to 6 meters is too much reduction, but I leave it with the tree officer, 5 to 6 meters.
Okay, we can add a note that you're concerned about the extremity on that one. And if you're happy to add that note, can I have a second for that, please? I'll show of hands in support of that. Okay. We shall move on to first item, which is DM 21 1780. It's a very small application. No one really interested in it at all. Very little. It's probably the most we've seen members of the public for a long time. So well done, everyone, for coming out. Thank you for submitting all your comments. This is demolition of existing dwelling and erection of 3 detached dwellings and 3 pairs of semi-detached dwellings with car parking, modifications to existing access and provision of soft landscape. So basically you've had all these plans, and had this briefing through to you. See where it is on Walton Road, current dwelling, and the proposed layout. Some proposed landscaping. And again, it's site access. So I know that Councillor Peacock and Councillor Sweatman have been there with members, so I'm going to pass over to Councillor Peacock to lead on this.
Thank you, everyone here. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I know this application has caused much anxiety in Walton Road area, and I know many residents would like to attend tonight in person, but due to COVID, this isn't possible. Hence, we have a large number attending in person and also watching through Zoom, which you to. Thank you to the town clerk and the chair to ensure as many people could observe tonight's meeting. The site.
You move down closer to it.
I'm happy to move.
I can't see any reason why
If you
not.
want to come into this gap here, you can then probably a bit clearer.
No. As long as you're 6 feet away from everybody, you're fine.
The site is 0.27 hectares in size, 94.4 metres in length, 28.5 metres in width, excluding access, and is bounded to the north by Paddock Gardens, predominantly consisting of single-storey bungalows, and to the south by Morton Road, which is made up of 2-storey terraced and semi-detached houses. Access to the site will be from the existing drive, which accesses Morton Road between numbers 7 and 11. Having studied the application, I propose the committee recommends refusal for the following reasons. Firstly, it is overdevelopment and out of character and not consistent with housing design for the area. 1. The proposed buildings will be a minimum of 9.2 metres high, with several 10.4 metres. This is significantly higher than the single-storey bungalows of Paddock Gardens to the rear, north. Look at that now. Having an overbearing impact, and I believe approximately 2 metres higher to the properties of Morton Road, which measure approximately 7.5 metres in height. In general, the design of the proposed buildings are not in keeping with the area and therefore do not comply with the Mid-Sussex Design Guide. Furthermore, no dimensions or measurements have been provided to understand the exact position of the proposed buildings and their absence to the, and their distance to the boundary with Paddock Gardens. Important given the massive difference between existing and proposed building heights. Related to this is the fact that no daylight or sunlight analysis survey has been submitted on the impact of the height of the proposed buildings on Paddock Gardens. Surely, given the new development's height and the fact that it is located to the south, likely blocking sunlight during the day, a survey is required. The planning statement and other submitted documents consistently compare the proposed buildings to those in Walton Road, but pay scant regard to those in Paddock Gardens. The above are all divergent from DP 26 of the district plan, which states schemes should A, create a sense of place while addressing the character and scale of the surrounding buildings and landscape, and B, not cause significant harm to the amenities of existing nearby residents and future occupants of new dwellings, including taking account of the impact on privacy, outlook, daylight, sunlight, and noise, air and light pollution. Also, e.g. 3 of the neighbourhood plan. Specifically, A, the form of the proposed development is proportionate and in keeping with the scale, height, materials, and site coverage of the surrounding area. B, the layout of the proposed development respects the topography and character of the site, protects important landscape features, and does not harm adjoining amenity. Moving on. Secondly, the self is not self-sustaining and self-supporting in terms of car parking, and therefore cannot be compliant with EG3, EG12 of the East Grinstead Neighbourhood Plan, DB26 and DB21 of the District Plan. The developer proposes to implement a traffic regulation order to replace on-street car parking on Moreton Road, either side of the proposed entrance, with double yellow lines to facilitate both forward entry and forward exit access to the site. In detail, 11.75 metres to the east in front of number 11 and approximately 13.25 metres to the west towards Dunning Road. In its transport survey, the applicant detailed a car parking survey carried out between 0:30 hours and 1 o'clock on the 12th and 24th of February, and neglected to undertake any surveys during the school and working day, when on-street car parking is difficult as parents park and walk to collect their children from Mead Primary School, just 320 yards away. On-street car parking is already a major issue on Moreton Road and other surrounding roads, and the removal of this on-street facility is unacceptable and not compliant with EG3D, which states the proposal ensures satisfactory means of access for vehicles and pedestrians and provides adequate parking, cycle storage, refuse facilities on site. Also linking with EG12 and again DP26. And indeed, the West Sussex Highways report, just put on the portal, state that it expects the size of the development to attract a demand for 24 car parking spaces. But because 2 proposed garages do not meet West Sussex minimum space guidelines, it only provides 19, a shortfall of 5. The report then adds that any overspill on street parking created by this development would be an amenity matter for the LPA, Mid Sussex, to consider. Furthermore, West Sussex report identifies that the TRO, Traffic Regulation Order, would result in the loss of 4 to 5 on-street spaces, not the 2 calculated by the applicant. These facts all support the rejection of the application on EG3D, EG12, DP26 and DB21. Finally, this site is not identified as a site for development in either the East Grinstead Neighbourhood Plan, the Mid Sussex District Plan, or the current Mid Sussex Site Allocations Development Plan currently being considered by Inspector Mr. Fox. In recent planning appeals, Mid Sussex District Council has been able to demonstrate a 5-year land supply, and therefore this application is unnecessary. So they're my thoughts, and I'd welcome any others from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Councillor Age, thank you. Do any councillors have any other points to add to that comprehensive?
Very comprehensive.
No, I agree. I think everything that I have written down and talked about it, you have included with bells on. So I think we can safely take this to the vote. So the motion to use it on the grounds given. Can I have a show of hands in support of that, please? Thank you. As I say, if any of you wish to stay for the rest of the applications, you are more than welcome to sit in the very cold room, or if you want to leave, you can do that. It's entirely up to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am to say that only one member of the public in the room.
Not one for the last one.
For the one member that's left in the room, I'm going to sort of jumble up the agenda for you, bring your application next, rather than make you sit in the cold on your own at the end of the meeting. So we're going to go to DM21 1945. This is 52 Garden Road / Chapman's Lane. This is a retrospective application for the erection of a fence between 52 Garden Road and Chapman's Lane. As we pointed out earlier, this is a private lane. This is the erection of this retrospective erection of this fence, which, if I bring up the photos here, shows the lane how it was and the lane how it now is with the fence in place. You can see the fence wobbling its way down the lane there. There are many objections to this from the lane and the owner of the lane. This is immovable, so I will have to start this one. I think this is an utter disgrace, if I'm honest with you, by the person who put this fence up to sneakily take this hedge down. You can see where the hedge was on my mouse cursor there, and put this, quite frankly, hideous fence up. If they wish to put a fence up, they could have put it the other side of their property at a lower level. There's no need to remove a beautiful established hedgerow that has many nesting birds in it. Much better for the environment. This is criminal damage at best, I think. Therefore, I am very strongly minded to recommend refusal of this retrospective application, and I would go as far as to say that I think that the applicant should have the fence down, and that they should be forced to reinstate a mature hedgerow, not little saplings that will take another 20 years to grow, to reinstate the damage that they caused, because this is dreadful, unneighbourly, goes against everything that the type proposed to the town council. The fence is far too high, it's unnecessary, it's hideous, and it's not their land to have done it on. So, although that normally isn't a planning consideration, I think this is not the sort of application I want to be seeing. So I'm going to propose that we recommend refusal. And a second. Any other comments that want to be added to this category?
I just think that we need to also have a comment here about the fact that it's retrospective, so you quite rightly, but this is sneaking outside of the rules that we set. And I think that needs to be quite strongly highlighted, because we've had this on other occasions where we've had retrospective applications put through, and I think people should stop getting away with this. And as you I live very near to this lane, and I just walk down it to get through to the worth way at times, and it's just taken away, as you like to say, a lot of wildlife in there, a lot of hiding places for the not just flying creatures, but the smaller creatures on the ground as well. And it's quite disturbing, really, that that's happened without any kind of permission or any other kind of consultation at all.
No, it's great. Councillor.
Yeah, first of all, if I can apologise to the gentleman, my hearing's not good at the best of times, and the acoustics in here are not very good for this kind of meeting, you know. But I support the proposal, but I would just like to ask a question on the legal side of this, on the grounds in which it can be made to take it down and put the hedge back. Because is it because of the height of the fence? Because it could take off a few inches and it could stay there if it was, you know?
I think the height of the fence is obviously the planning. It's a very difficult one. I'll be really honest, because
you don't have the worst of all worlds here.
It falls under it is far too high, so we can overturn it on that, which is basically the only planning bit there. The rest of it is legal. That it is a civil issue and a criminal issue between the applicant and his neighbour. A very difficult one for planning to enforce, but the best that we can try to hope for to start the ball rolling is to refuse this.
So what is the actual height of it that this fence is put up here?
Well, this is an interesting topic, because actually on the drawings it shows it a much lower and then rising, and actually so the height varies from 1 metre to 2.1 metres.
Right, so you legally can put a fence up below 2 metres, can't you?
Yeah, so it does knock over it slightly, hence the triggering of the planning application. But really, I think the plans don't match what he's done, which is a big issue for me, because this shows it's sculpting off. But I also think that we should send a message from this council that this is not acceptable behaviour.
Yeah, I'll go with that. It's just that I'm just concerned that you don't get the result that
I agree, and unfortunately it will then have to go to a legal dispute between the two parties. Councillor Owen and Councillor Scott.
Can I just ask the gentleman, did you say that you owned the hedge?
So, am I allowed to
If you
speak?
don't mind, sorry,
I
Chair.
will make it, yes, please, very quickly.
Right, so, I have sought legal advice on it because, I did, he didn't. And I've got a boundary surveyor and a solicitor. So it's a boundary hedge. So I own half, he owns half, because it's a boundary hedge. Because of that, he has to ask my permission, because I own half of it, to cut it down. That's apparently the law. I was on holiday. In one day, he cut the whole 36 metres. It was 6 foot wide, 36 metres long and 10 foot high. He cut the whole lot down in a day and put the fence up while I was on holiday. No consultation to me, no consultation to the other 2 neighbours that live in that lane, no consultation to anybody, not yourselves, anybody. And we came home on holiday, we actually missed the road. My wife was driving, she drove straight past because we're so used to the 2 hedges on either side of that lane that we kept. She drove past and went, I've missed the turning. And when we drove back, we saw that. And she said, I missed it because of that.
Thank you.
I would just like to say that I absolutely wholeheartedly support the gentleman over there. And when you said they should be made to remove it, I can't back that strongly enough. We've got a beautiful town in Shrewsbury. That is an absolute eyesore. It's obviously far higher than the existing hedge. I can see that just by looking at the pictures. I think it's absolutely abhorrent that someone could take it upon themselves without planning just to do that. And I support the gentleman and I support you 100%. That should be taken down, 100% removed.
Thank you.
And we should be forceful on it as well.
Right, so we can, we will be. Councillor O'Connor.
Sorry. Would that have normally come through planning?
Thanks, if that high would have just been a panel.
Would you?
I would also, so I'm going to just take a quick vote on that to recommend refusal on grounds given. Thank you. I think that I would also update on a step note, if this does get reinstated, I would put a tree preservation on the hedges and the existing hedge, I would put one on.
Chairman, it's very difficult for the TPL.
Anyway, I'm not sure I'm going to say that I'm going to get in trouble with the town clerk in a minute. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming again.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get back on to
Chair,
you may,
as it's only us,
and we are on Zoom still.
as it's only us, and I don't know the number, it's here.
I'm going to close those 2, if that's all right.
Can we shut the neighbourhood doors?
I'm going to close those 2, but you'll have to leave those
Mr.
open.
Chairman, this one
We are all shivering.
Just touching the teeth.
Can we have clothes?
It is cold. It is cold. Okay, we go back onto agenda for DA 21-0871. This is listed building consent for 5A High Street. Was in this Lanewood place, it's now changed, and 5 High Street, East Brixton. This is creation of 2 additional flats at 5A High Street by alterations to the existing internal layout, raising the ridge height to create a 2nd-storey extension with pitched roof and central dormer facing the High Street, with a new roof attached to listed building at 7 to 9 High Street, minor alterations to existing shop front, existing side gables, increased in height with new windows, and conservation of roof windows and new rear gable. So this is this picture is out of date. This is the one that they supplied. It's now the nail bar just next to Corals. And here's the existing plan. This is the what they wish to do to it. So you can see here
new dormer and the raising of the ridge height, that is the current red. And you can see from the side, the raising of the ridge height there. And there's the new layout. It's the building really, the front is where you're going to see the biggest alterations. This is town, so Councillor Scott, if you would like to.
Right, this is a high street location of which we need to preserve the appearance of our high street. This could be classed as overbearing. Raising the height of the building, I think is unacceptable. Minor alterations to the shop front I could get away with, but the height, I think, to me, is the problem factor, and it changes the appearance of our high street, of which we do not want that to change. At the moment, I think that's attractive. It could be looked after more better, but to change the appearance, I really can't support this. It's the location that more than anything else.
Okay, can I have a second for that, please?
Yeah, I'll say that.
Councillor Osborne. Deputy Chairman.
Thank you. Without wishing to tread on Councillor Scott's toes, I personally would support the application because I think that I understand it's a mental issue with the high street, but when we go back to a couple of years ago, in 2015-16, when the Elkerson bike shop, similar application that a change was put in there. I personally think it would clean up the lines of that particular building, and I would support it. So sorry for stepping on your toes. Yeah.
No. That's what we're about. It's not too on your toes.
I tend to agree. It's anything that upsets the high street is a concern, and it is a conservation area, of course. But this is behind, as the Deputy Town Mayor just said, I think creating extra flats, a little bit raised in the middle of the buildings. I tend to lean in the direction of supporting this personally.
That's right.
I think that I'm in favour of what Councillor Scott said. I think that it affects the look of the high street, and I think the raising of the ridge height is a problem for me personally. And I think it has come back before. We have had this come through before.
We have. We had a bigger application on this site to basically convert the whole front of it to be a front ridge to look like above Emma Louise's shop, so it mirror each side in that picture, which we rejected. I think this is a tricky one. I mean, I can see the split here, and I think it's a split that we all have. My personal feeling on it is if it were any other high street, raising that ridge height, because the building next to it is significantly higher and will remain significantly higher, raising that ridge height would not be a problem at all. It would be a non-issue. I do have a concern that changing it in this particular high street that has remained so untouched for so long. Eastwood High Street, you can look at pictures of it going back over a long time. The only real change is what used to be my old shop in Barclays, because the original one burnt down. That's the only building that has changed in that whole run for a very, very long time. So I am mindful that we are the current guardians of this planning, and actually I would rather it stay the same than see it change. I know it's not a major change, but I think it is a change, and this is the high street and conservation area. I don't think it needs to change it. My other concern is that adding more flats in above that shop has a cumulative impact on already behind it planning application for converting the garden behind into more buildings, and the overbearing impact behind that building. The car park for King's House, where they put more buildings in recently, the car parking is flowing out onto Canterbury Road, so they can't park obviously in the high street, but there will be a huge increase in parking. It doesn't, well, not a huge increase, but every single time you allow a few more flats here, a few more there, that knocks on to behind. So for the aesthetic and for the practicality, I might agree with Councillor Scott on this one. Councillor Osborne.
I agree with you. In fact, if you look at it, you've got 3 different roof heights there. I think that's part of the attraction of an old high street. Of any of these historic places is the sort of jumbly sort of appearance of them, and it gives it its sense of time, you know. And I mean, it's a pretty disgraceful looking building at the moment. Somebody come along with the right money to make that look good again, and I think leaving that as it is, it's a little building amongst varying sized buildings. I think that's part of the charm of the high street.
Councillor Bell, in the back, Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Chairman, and I can see both sides. I think that parking isn't a reason to be able to reject an application in the town centre. I'm minded to support Councillor Scott who made the proposal. I'm just not exactly clear yet what grounds we have for rejecting the application. And so maybe if you could just reconfirm that.
I think we can, because it's a listed building, we can probably bring into play EG3 and DP26 on design. We feel that it's out of keeping and poor design for the area. And I do think it is really close. I do think that if you had, as I said, any other high street anywhere else, it wasn't such a historic high street, it would probably be fine. I don't think it's right to do it. Councillor Scott, and then
Very quickly, one of the things that I'm absolutely opposed to is the old terminology, squaring that building off. That's the one thing that I'm absolutely opposed to. If they worked, if it was left as it was and they did something internal, that's one thing. But to come up and square the roof, no, I'm absolutely against it.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the parking and also the effect on listed buildings in conservation areas are very strong material considerations that need to be taken into account. So, in answer to Councillor Dawes.
and it is obviously still within the conservation area as well as being listed. So we've got the recommendations for refusal. We have a show of hands and some rules for refusal. Okay, so this is DM 21 13 14 11 Hackington Close. This is demolition of existing rear conservatory and garage, erection of new rear and side extension comprising living room, dining, study, utility, and office shower room. These were revised plans received on the 19th and the 25th of May. This committee on the 19th of April. We've got a comment on the application. The application was approved in 2018, same description, and it's not clear why it's come back to the committee. So these are new plans. There are 6 letters on the portal from 11 Hackington Close about this. Is quite contentious within the local area. So these are the existing plans, existing rear elevation. Here's the new plans and new information. And the reason that is so hotly contested is to do with the roof height between it is already built, but the plans differ from what they've built effectively. So this roof height here is shown above this roof, and it's been constructed below it. And as you can see, it's been up a couple of years. It is of fairly poor construction, and the guttering is causing damp issues into the neighbouring property. He has complained that these new plans have come forward. I think on this plan here, it shows, yes, it's now below the roof, but there were previous plans which showed it above the roof. Yeah, you can see these original plans showed it in line above, and these are now underneath. This is Ashpats, so Councillor.
Yeah, this is really a very difficult situation because it's already been approved and constructed. But I think the way it was constructed is not in conformity with what was approved plan. And there's an ongoing dispute between the neighbors already. because of the roof, a guttering issue. There's drainage, and also it's too close to the neighbor already. So I think unless all this issue has been sorted out, I think remedial work should be done. Then everyone will be happy.
Yes, it's easier said than done, I think. So, can I confirm that we need to make a decision about this particular amendment to the plans? And so they're trying to say that they now want to bring it below, which I think is causing the problem. When, as it was originally described as being in line with their flat roof, it wouldn't cause the same damp issue. So I personally feel, I don't know, as an ash back to the council.
I second the proposal for refusal.
Refusal, which I just want to confirm that you are going for.
Yeah.
Refusal. Yeah, just the second. It's not retrospective. It is what? Well, it is sort of retrospective. Yes, they built it not to match the plans that they originally did, and now they're retrospectively trying to change the plans. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Chairman. It's been extremely badly done. As I understand it, it was retrospectively done. Now we're not allowed to take that into consideration anyway. Retrospective is just the same as any other type of planning application. But when it's done extremely badly, like this, causing disputes with neighbours, my other friends just said, it needs to be redone. And the only way to make sure that is redone is to reject the original proposal and get them to go back and sort it out. And that's what
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I mean, of course, just because something wasn't built in line with the planning application doesn't mean that it should always be redone. And I think officers have to look at, whether unreasonable harm is caused to other people as a result of it not being done. But I would have thought that looking at the pictures and the evidence that's been presented, we would be able to argue that unreasonable harm is being caused to neighbours. So I'd be very happy to support that recommendation of refusal.
I would completely agree. If this was in isolation with nothing next to it, it being a couple of brick lower would not be a serious issue. It probably may not even be noticed. But the fact that it is below and it is causing potential harm to the neighbouring property, I think they should build it as it was originally designed to be built.
How did that get through building regs?
It hasn't got through building regs. And the person who built it, I am only going by what has been presented to us by the neighbour. I haven't spoken to them directly. Apparently, it doesn't really care that it hasn't. But it is not well constructed. Councillor Bigger.
Who then submits this application? Is it the household or is it the neighbour?
I think the process is that the neighbour has complained, and Mid Sussex has requested that they put in their application. Which I think we should definitely reject. So I agree with that. Any other comments on this? And how a show of hands is support? Are you happy with the reasoning?
Very well.
We did discuss this last meeting, committee. This is DM 21 1412 Beckford, Lewis Road, new build, detached 4-bedroom house, southern right-hand side of the property, 3-car parking spaces and ancillary amenities. The only difference between this one and before was the sustainability statement had been received on the 24th of May. I'm sure most of you remember our comments that we made before. I just wanted to flag it so it didn't get just swept aside on this one. But it is the council, but I would recommend that we just resubmit our comments from the last meeting to reject it, unless anybody has anything they wish to add, second. Is it okay to resubmit our results? I just didn't want it to go down as no comment. this was touch and go because it is one of our landmark public houses. We will get to discuss it fully. This is DM 21/2014. This is the Ship in Ship Street, East Grinstead. This is external decorations and alterations to fenestration. New pagodas to the south, existing pagoda to the north garden, finished with toughened clear glass. New access point created to the north of the garden with the existing stone wall, a new kitchen, airport and extraction system to replace existing. Not to keep up on that, but this is the pub as it currently stands. It's been quite a while, I think, since it was last done up and been building the ship's deck at the back when I was a young drinking age at that point, so that's 20+ years ago. This shows some of the modifications that they wish to make. We're all familiar with the ship, aren't we? This is the new entrance point that they wish to put into the garden, significant note, and the new pagodas and the new glass refurbing. So this shows it currently. This is the new bits. I'll bring them up next to each other. A bit small to see on the screen. So however you see them on the picture plans that I sent you. This is Town Rules, so Councillor Scott.
I know this place very well. The existing landlady and landlord knew they were going to be leaving. Didn't really do much when it comes to appearance of the building. It always needed decorating. They knew they were going to be moving on at some time very soon. They let it go. New landlords come in through the brewery. It does need a complete overhaul. The appearance is pretty tired. And it does need, what another word, tidying up, and it really does need it. It's imperative that building gets looked at. It's very focal to the town. It's centralised, everybody can see it, and the condition it's in, I would support the decoration and the alterations it requires.
Now, a second. Any further comments on that? Councillor Oldie and then we'll go to
Thank you, Jane. I've got a query with regards to the access point in the North Garden through the existing stone wall.
Yes.
What does, I couldn't find any information on that.
I believe that's this archway here is the new access point. The plans will load up. I think it's this access point here through to the garden, which is
it's not that stone wall there.
That stone wall there, yes. I think it's
that
here, and then that goes down the shop at the front here.
So we don't know to the extent how much of that stone wall is going to be removed.
An archway.
Oh, no.
So at the moment, there.
Sorry, I've misunderstood.
Right.
I misunderstood the.
So you see here, there's like a window through.
Yeah.
And then make that into an archway through.
Sorry, I thought it was the external stone wall on
No.
the front page.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's fine. And no, I totally agree. It does need redecorating. A house used to stand on this corner, no doubt Councillor Osborne can remember it. But there is, the comments by the East Grinstead Society is that they're fully in support, except that I think we need to make something regarding the vent and the possible noise aspect.
Yeah, that will obviously will go through environmental.
Yeah.
They do have an extraction system. I think that may be the society being slightly over. So they comment. It does have an existing system, and I believe I had a quick look at decibel levels that they put on. It's maybe quite more efficient. I think time has moved on, but it's something that is worth keeping in mind. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Chair. Just to support Councillor Scott, and I'm sure we all understand what difficult 12 months or more that the pub industry has had, and therefore, whilst we might not all necessarily agree with every aspect, the owners are trying to improve the pub and to make it a more attractive venue, and I'm very happy to support their endeavours to, and I wish them every success in post application.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, it's. I think we're all encouraged by how nice, some of the outside eating places are. So it's good to see everyone up in In that case, can I have a show of hands in support of this application? Right, moving to DM 2041, this is 12 Harwood's Close. This is a single story side extension. So here we can see the change to the front and to the rear. The property north side of it. This is heritage, so I'm going to allow Councillor Obi to have a shot.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I personally don't have any problem with this at all. I think that actually it's a good use of space and making the house bigger for an expanding family. So I would propose approval.
Thank you. I have a second for that. Any other comments, Mr. Mitchell? No, show of hands in support. We have seen application on this next site before. It is again slightly lower on new and revised plans. This is DM 2164, Coppice Farm, Holsway Road. This is conversion of the barn to 4-bedroom residential dwelling with associated works. And this is a barn on Holsway Road. It's on the plot of land. This is the current agricultural barn. And they want to make it into convert it into a dwelling with now new parking and new planting included in the previous application. This is Ashbats, so
This within the high will area national map and this was already previously refused in January 21. But looking back, the time application, there's already a building there, barn. Now with this development, I think it will improve the aesthetic appearance of the area with this development, and it's not overbearing, it's not overdevelopment, and I tend to support this planning application.
Can I have a second for that? Are there any comments? Further comments on this? Councillor Scott.
Just quite briefly, that I support what was said by a barn as a dwelling is one is an attractive dwelling, and two, it's a beautiful place to live in. So where it is as well, I would support this. It's not like it's a 4-bedroom come house, and we've got to look at it in respect to that's something totally different, and I think it's attractive.
That's right.
Thank you, Chair. I refuse this purely from the historical point of view. When it was refused in January, the history was made very clear by Councillor Mrs. Kelsey that they were not. There was something that was said that they were not to. It was developed by stealth in terms of the fact that the land was only, they put this barn on so that they could purposely do this. Now I know that there's no planning, we can't refuse it for that, but I'm just concerned that it's in an area of natural, the AONB, it's green belt, and it's just going to open up floodgates for further areas around town. And if it was refused in January, and I really appreciate that my fellow councillors are allowed to change their minds, I'd like to know why they've changed their minds, so that I can make an informed decision.
I well remember Councillor Mrs. Belsey's well articulated objections to this. And in fact, you're absolutely right, it is in the area of natural beauty. And it was refused by the Sussex Planning Committee for the reasons that mentioned. But speaking as a town, I'm supporting my learned friend here on that, and I would leave it then to the Sussex Planning Committee to make their decisions again.
I'm going to admit, I don't know very deal about this application. Is it the existing footprint? Is it footprint?
It's converting the barn as is.
As is? Probably in one of the regions.
Yeah, and actually, I see in between the last application and this, excluding the potential history and reasons maybe they got to this point. To build on the green belt or an ALB, you can convert existing farm buildings to residential use as long as they are kept within keeping. It's quite contentious, but it can be done. It has been done. National Water Grand Designs, where a family done it the other day to great success. There are numerous letters on the portal in support of this. There are a lot of people saying that it will improve the area. The barn itself may be quite popular. It will enhance it and improve it. And I've got to be honest, I'm not the mindset where it is. If there's a disused falling down barn, to convert it to a family home. I understand that the person who's doing it is potentially a builder that is doing it for his own house to live in. And so I should be done probably with a quite high standard. I think as long as it is done well, it is done as these plans show. If you look at the plan here, it's literally adding some apertures to the existing barn and changing the roof, all the roof lights in it, and adding some windows and doors to it. I think it could be very, very attractive. There's parking. I like the screening. I'll hold them to the council on that. Like green screen it from the road further. I don't see this being a particularly huge issue. It could actually be quite an attractive house for the area. So I know it is an emotive one. I know it does have the area, but I'm probably willing to agree with Councillor Roy. Councillor Roy.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Not every change their minds. I think especially local member, Ms. Elsie, spoke eloquently last time. She's not here tonight. Two others who represent the area, as I understand, are in favour of it. So to be consistent, and if one takes notice of the local members, one supports it. So that answers that particular question. Aside from that, you've got a barn. So whatever happens, there's a barn there, and you can either have cows in it or you can have people living in it. It's not changing its appearance a great deal, but probably what is changing is for the better. So I don't really see a vast problem with that. It's probably a redundant barn. Probably built a long time ago, and it's more or less a shape. It looks like a barn, like a plant. So from a visibility point of view, it's not a lot different. So I think
I think if they were knocking it down and building something completely different on that side, it would be a very different answer.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not going to object to it, but obviously the site does have a considerable history now. I'd just like to support Councillor Odie's just principal views, because what we don't want to see is people building in 2021 farms for reasons, and then in 2022 they're being converted to residential buildings. I mean, this barn has been up quite some time, so I don't think you could necessarily draw the building of the barn to the creation of a dwelling, but it is a concern that I think that the council only rightly mentions. But in this situation, I don't have to object.
I think that's true, and I actually, in between these two meetings, looked into the ownership of it. The person doing this conversion now is not the people that originally owned the land and the barn was on it. So I don't think maybe they've made money on it. I don't know, but that's not really. So before we all freeze to death, are there any questions on this particular application?
Just one, I think there is an environmental survey already that was done.
Yeah.
And the survey was okay.
Yeah, adding to the green space rather than taking it away. And in that case, we might have show of hands to support this application. And against? Thank you. In that case, I would like to close the meeting at 8:26 and remind you the next meeting is on Monday, the 12th of July.
I know.